and now I'm doing this. And that's exactly what this video is. It's me, Shawn, and showing you my progress or my failures, whatever it might be, as far as the electronic cigarette goes. Nicotine versus nicotine of real cigarettes versus the e-liquid. And right now you might be going, what's e-liquid? I'll get into that a little bit later. I think I was a little bit off there. I think I got too much nicotine that is being shipped to me right now. We'll see how that kind of turns out. Cartridges versus cigarette consumption. Like I said before, it's a three-part system, and the cartridge is the big thing for us, right? Like I said before, about $200 per month that I'm spending. I obviously know that you got to pay for the unit, and as you quickly find out, you got to replace the atomizer every several weeks, maybe a couple times a month. Excuse me, not a month, a couple times per year, whatever it might be. Atomizers, from what I was finding, about $10 each. I already noted that recharging a battery is going to be a hassle, but it's half a dozen the other, right? So there are obviously adjustments. This isn't exactly smoking. If it were the exact same thing as smoking without any of that, everybody would have switched over to it very quickly. This is for somebody who likes smoking but wants to move into something different. Cartridges versus cigarette consumption, very difficult. Obviously, a lot of these suppliers want to tell me that one supplier will tell me that the one filter will last you what a pack of cigarettes would be. That also was a little bit more confusing for me too. Of when do you know when to stop smoking, right? I mean, for all of us, when your cigarette's done, okay, it's time to stop. For this, I'm kind of curious about that. I'm also curious whether the vapors will be warm, like a regular cigarette, whatever that might be. Let me get into quickly, if you're doing research out there and you've come across this video and you're looking at it for something to help you, I'm going to tell you about a few things that I quickly learned. That's the e-cigarette lingo. It's obviously been going on for quite a little bit there. Europe, it's been big for a while. And of course, here in the States, there is a group, a very large group it appears, that has been doing electronic cigarettes. First thing is vaping. Vaping is what everybody calls instead of smoking. You can't call it smoking anymore if you use an electronic cigarette because there is no smoke. It is called vaping because it's vapors. You're taking in vapors, which are, of course, mainly of a water consistency, and it does have the nicotine in there. Throat hit. This is something that at first I was very confused about, but once I learned what it was extremely important to me. A vapor hit is how strong that vapor is when it hits your throat, how it feels, and how strong it is. And that's something that the next time you have a normal cigarette, if you're a regular smoker, you're going to feel that now. Consciously think about that. When you inhale, how does it feel hitting your throat? And it's very important because there's a lot of these different devices out there that do have a different throat hit, as it's called. For me, it's important. I smoke a medium type cigarette. I have that throat hit. It also depends on how you suck on your cigarette, whatever it might be. So throat hit became very important to me. And why it's important is, of course, I want to change over. I want to change this over. I want it as real as I can possibly get it. Vapors, like we were talking about, carts, that just means cartridges. They're just shortening it. Addies, that was another thing. What's an addy? Is that an atom? What is that? It is, of course, a atomizer. And that's what they're talking about there, as that is one of the major of the three components that are on there. Of course, the last one is leaking. It was something that discouraged me immediately. I was like, what? They leak? What's going on? If you don't use your cigarette properly, or you have a inferior one, there are quite a bit of them out there. This is a newer market, and there are a lot of knockoffs, things of that sort, that of course people have gotten, and then they've had some leaking problems, and of course some of the products have had that too. It's a young industry, but I mean, when you want to get knockoff, a Gucci purse is cool, but when you're sucking on something, it's going in your body. You want to be careful. Okay, be careful of suppliers. That's a quick tip of mine. It took me second day in. I caught that real quick. There are some scam websites out there that have they've taken the exact same name of a real supplier, and then they've added like one letter to it. So let's say instead of smoke, it's smokes. I'm not saying that's the website. I'm just giving an example here. One just took your money and scammed you. The other one did not. All right. Now, let me just tell you very quickly what I bought. Like I said, I looked into this. I quickly learned that they make a regular cigarette. It looks exactly like a cigarette. It's the same size as a cigarette. It's white with the filter color, and it even has an LED light on the end that mimics the orange glow, which at the end of the day, you don't really see that as much yourself, and I've shied away from that particular product for several reasons. Number one, the cigarette size is fairly newer, and everything that I read, it doesn't have the throat hit or the amount of vapors that people would come to expect with a regular cigarette, and you can kind of assume that if it's a smaller product. I mean, obviously, as this industry grows in a few years' time, maybe that's going to be available, but right now it's not. And then the second thing that I quickly learned from reading a lot of people's experiences with these electronic cigarettes is sometimes you don't want it to look exactly like the real thing. The problem with that is people think you really are smoking. And if you're in a non-smoking area, which is one of the benefits of having one of these, and of course you're smoking it, somebody's going to run over and go, well, you can't smoke here. If you have one that's black or silver with a blue LED light, people are more kind of like, what is that? And that's what you kind of want, is that reaction. Then you give them the chance. You have that chance to say, well, this is an electronic cigarette and it's not harmful, blah, blah, blah. And what I mean is harmful to them. Okay, so I went with the larger versions. Pretty much what it was if you look at the opposite from what I can gather, I could be wrong on this, is the original electronic cigarette started out quite large, pen to be exact, so it was something a bit longer than this actually. And then they made the mini cigarette, which was slightly smaller, and now finally they have the one that is the size of a regular cigarette. So I bought three, to be honest. And the reason that I did that is I found out through looking at these different websites, a lot of us, you get one starter kit. You only get one of these cigarettes, and you start to like it. Well, it is it's a product, and it can break down on you. And I had found some people who have been doing it, some for a few weeks, some for a month, and all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. And then what happens, right? You got to order a new one or whatever it might be. You can't just run out to the store to get a new one. You're stuck. What are you going to do? You're going to go back to regular smoking. I don't want that to happen to me. So, of course, I made sure to get more than one. In fact, I got one from the United States, and then I got one from a foreign supplier, which I just recently learned that the FDA has a restriction on this product until they can investigate a little bit further. I also technically bought a third one, and the third one isn't the size of a cigarette, but it's pretty close. It's called a mini, and I